Hello firearms friends, Joel Colander here with some of the guns in this June 21st through 23rd Sporting Collector Firearms Auction. Today's a fun video, and I think you'll think it's a fun video too, simply because we've done a video on miniatures before, and you all liked it. You made it a very, very good video for us, a well-watched video, well-received. And so when we had an outstanding collection of miniatures come through the June auction, I think it's so cool, and obviously you do too. So let's take a look at just 3 of them. Now there's a good number in the sale by a number of makers, and as you can see, it stretches quite a few genres as well. Everything is modern, from old dueling pistols to the Beretta 92 and everything in between. So if you like these miniatures, and again, I think you do, check out some of these in the auction catalog on rockislandauction.com. You don't have to, you can just think they're cool, that's just fine. You can also appreciate, if you have, a Tag Heuer, if you have a nice watch on your wrist, you can appreciate the mechanisms that are in these miniatures. Heck, you can just like a small piece to go with your collection. I mean, look at the popularity of the goat guns that have come along recently in those sort of modern miniatures. So, miniatures are nothing new, like the goat guns, but the appeal, it spans decades. Let's take a look at our first one here. A set of Wogden dueling pistols. Wogden was the name for dueling pistols. He was one of the most respected, one of the most well-known for flintlock dueling pistols. So much so that a duel at one point was synonymous with a Wogden affair. That was one way to say it without saying it. The man even had poems written about him. Hail Wogden, patron of that leaden death. Wogden dueling pistols are essential, quintessential dueling pistols. Here we have a wonderful set, very similar to one we've recently sold in a premier auction for $11,000. This one estimated significantly less. So again, the increase in quality in these auctions and the ability to pick up a pair of Wogdens at a very reasonable price. Here we have, and it's a nice case set, and it's a classic set. You will see sets that look like this in this case configuration with your flask, with your tools, with your compartments on the side. And here's a set of miniatures capturing all those classic features of the Wogden set. You open up this compartment and it's like the clasp of a necklace. It's so tiny, so diminutive, and even inside is an even tinier key for the front of the case. You open up the other compartment with its similar, almost a necklace part on there, and it's full of lead shot and some tow for cleaning your barrels. And what do we find, of course, on a regular Wogden set also, but a compartment for lead shot and some tow. Absolutely remarkable similarities, even down to the grains of the wood on these beautiful sets of Wogdens. Love the detail on them. And when we talk detail, I mean, for scale, absolutely wonderful. Not only in their scale, but in the decoration. The engraving is so fine, so delicate. It's almost like looking at just hair width cuts. But it says Wogden London on the top. You have engraving here by the breech end of your barrel. Engraving in front of the front sight even. You have your proper maker's mark on the side plate. You have a little, what looks like sort of rose and scroll on the bottom of the trigger guard. Impossibly fine. And of course your acorn finial there to finish up your trigger guard. The attention to detail is just incredible. Down to the bullet mold, down to the shape of the frizzen, the contours of the stock, even a tiny, tiny safety at the back of the side plate. Again, the detail is absolutely remarkable. Next on the table is a gun we've already taken a look at in a previous video. Massive Colt Walker C Company number 172. And one of the 2 Colt Walker miniatures in this auction. I picked this one because it has carved grips, and I'm fancy like that. This has military markings on it. It says A Company 20. Now ours with the case, of course, was the Danish Sea Captain Walker. It was civilian, so we usually associate cases with the civilian market. The military doesn't have use for fancy cases, but I'm going to allow it for A Company 20 replica here, because when you have something this cool, it needs a case, and it has all these fantastic accessories. So not only does it have a case in the exact configuration of the Danish Sea Captain Walker, which you should know how rare a case, like a Colt Walker case is. So to see it in the exact configuration, fantastic. You can pick up these little compartments. This is unreal. They have extra percussion nipples for you for the gun, and they've put it in a capsule, like a medicine capsule. If you were an apothecary and making your own things at home, that's how small these are. And there's at least a dozen percussion nipples in there. It's just, it gives you an idea of the scale that we're working with here. Also, like the Danish Sea Captain Walker, there's a Dragoon flask in here, which is perfect. That's just how ours was, and has been for decades. A lead shot in the other compartment, this nice red leather French fitted case, and this is beautiful as well. Now a true Walker, of course, you'd like to see it in the white cylinder, but it's hardly a knock against it. The detail, the markings are all where you'd expect them to be. These carved grips and the detail on them. Here you have almost the Mexican eagle with the snake and the cactus. And on the other carved grip, the Phrygian hat. It says Libertad at the bottom, carved into it. Square back, round cylinder stops. The proper Walker loading lever, everything on here, just like a Walker, like you'd want to expect. Again, the level of detail is remarkable, and the appeal for these miniatures is quite clear. Last on the table, Smith & Wesson Victory model. Sort of an unsung revolver of World War II. Of course, 1911 A1s were in high demand. The Army gets most of those. The Marines get most of those. The Navy, they're kind of left kicking sand. But they still need sidearms. So what do? They go directly to Smith & Wesson and order a bunch of the Smith & Wesson, what's now known as the Victory models. In fact, they even have a V prefix on their serial numbers to indicate that. America orders a lot of these in 4-inch, 38 special K-frame revolvers from Smith & Wesson. Britain orders quite a bit too, over 500,000 as I recall. Slightly different chambering, 38-200, and they have a 5-inch barrel on theirs. Really, really neat. Again, kind of unsung revolvers of World War II. And here we have this wonderful miniature version of the Victory model. In its case, with a holster. This, so tiny, so tiny. You gotta love it. Like, some of these are a little larger in scale. This thing is absolutely diminutive. But even so, you still have proper markings on the left-hand side, property of U.S. Navy. Those are the earliest ones. Later on, they move to the top strap. And then once the U.S. Army gets involved, it's U.S. property GHD for Brigadier General Guy Drury. You may have seen his initials on some other things like M1 Garands, M1 carbines, you name it. So again, very neat part. And how small is it? I mean, the cylinder pin is ridiculous. And just to show the scale, like, these aren't just representations. These, for a good miniature, they take pride, the makers will take pride in them functioning. So if we take that tiny cylinder release and move it forward, we can kick out that cylinder, which, yes, does rotate, and just, it's almost like a pin. It's just so thin and tiny, but locks very nicely back into place. And collector friends, these are just 3 of the outstanding miniatures in this June Sporting Collector auction. Again, everything from Beretta 92s to Wagden dueling pistols, to Kentucky rifles, to Colt Walkers, to single action armies, to Victory models, you name it. There's probably one in there for your collection, and they're so much fun. And when you add one to your collection and you have it kind of paired up, with a full size model, this might get some attention, like, oh, you got a Victory model, that's a great representation. What's that? It's an instant conversation starter. It's another level of intrigue, another level of depth that you can add to your collection. Come see how tiny they are for yourself. On preview day, that's June 20th, the day before the sale. We're open to the public. You can put all of these in your hands, and not all at once, although you could probably come pretty close. Or you can check them out online at rockislandauction.com. A lot of the photos for these miniatures have a penny included for scale, so you can appreciate how small they are even online. Head over there, check out your bids, come visit us in person if you'd prefer. Until next time, keep your powder dry.